All righty. I can see everybody. Doc, you good?
Oh, yes. Thank you.
All right. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. Hey, we want to just take a minute to welcome you to another episode of The Perspective. I'm your host, Curtis Williams, here with two guests today. You know, my favorite guy, Dr. Henderson. However, today we have an attorney joining the conversation, Attorney Bridgette Morgan. She's running for office, Judge, District 2?
County court judge.
County, not even city, y'all. This is county judge she's running for. So, you know, having Doc here, this is going to add a little bit more to this conversation because he's strictly politics and education and moving us forward. Me, I touch a base on everything, but I know I had a chance to talk to Miss Morgan not too long ago, and we kind of touched based on that mental health thing when it comes to court. And that's where my interest was. Like, she was telling me how she has already talked to people at Job Corps, have already stepped out there to say, hey, kids don't need to go to adult court. Let's see if we can find some other avenues for their treatments. Mm-hmm. So very interested in hearing what she has to say about that more. Miss Morgan.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited this go round. I did run for this office back in 2018.
Oh, so it's not your first
so it's not my
rodeo.
First time. I have a little bit more wisdom about it. I still don't know everything, but I do have a little bit more wisdom when it comes to trying to run for office.
Okay.
And since you and I talked about Job Corps, I actually went and did a tour. The Job Corps. And so I was able to see there where it's like a small college campus. Uh-huh. So they have like the cafeteria, they have the social room, they have a beauty and barber shop, they have dorms, all of that. And so, and I was glad to see that it wasn't prison style, right? Because when you think about Job Corps, I thought as a young person, I heard about it, I thought it was like a detention center or something. Because you always hear about kids who dropped out of school going to Job Corps. So I always thought it was some kind of alternative school or something, but it's not. Actually, it's for those folk who are interested in, let's say you're having a hard time passing the state test, right? And so they have these certified accredited programs that allow you to get your high school diploma, to get a trade, get a skill set, and put you directly into the job market.
Okay.
And they have offices in Atlanta, the Carolinas, Alabama, Mississippi. The thing about Mississippi is that they only have a CNA course for the females or for the women.
CNA, nursing assistant. Okay.
And so you would have to go outside of Mississippi in order to expand on what you wanted to do if you were a woman interested in going to Job Corps. So that's 18 to 25 years old, 1 year to 2 years, and it's federally funded, so you don't pay anything.
Oh, that's fantastic. Mm-hmm. So, Doc, you got any questions for her? You know, I'm not going to sit over here and we've talked about that stuff. I know you have some questions that are more related to why you think you should be the judge.
Yes.
Well, I must admit, that is a fact. Yeah. Job Corps is a great institution.
Mm-hmm. I know it
I know a little about it.
Okay.
I worked in Job Corps for 6 years.
Look.
In 4 different states.
You worked in it?
In 4 different states.
Mm-hmm. What?
In the 1990s.
Mm-hmm.
It is a great institution. Mm-hmm. And some of them are small, medium, and large. Mm-hmm. And I worked at all 3 categories. I worked with one in Utah that had 18,000 students on the main campus and in satellites.
18,000?
In satellites.
Okay.
See, I worked for a big company that had about 20 different Job Corps.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they weren't all in the same city.
Not all in the same city.
Gotcha.
It's a great institution. And I'm assuming that you had a chance to visit that area because when you get in position, and you will have a good chance to become judge if you do what you're supposed to do during the campaign.
Yes, sir.
You must be interested in alternative sentencing.
Absolutely.
Then. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. So that's why actually I have a commercial going out now. I've been practicing for over 10 years now, Dr. Henderson, and I've been both a prosecutor, a public defender, a private defense attorney, and a police attorney. So I've been on every side of the law, and I've also done some work out when people are released out of MDOC and they have to go and try to get their lives back on track. I've done some work with different organizations for that. And so what I've noticed is that we have to start rehabilitating people from the moment we arrest them, right? And a lot of times what is happening is that we see a charge and we start going after the charge and not necessarily after the person. And so as a public defender, what I would do is we don't have a lot of time, but when I would have my docket that morning, I would show up in municipal court in the city of Jackson. I work for Hinds County Public Defender's Office. And I would show up with a docket of maybe 8 to 9 people on the docket, and we got literally 5 minutes, maybe 10. That's per person or all together.
Really?
And it's a task to figure out this person's story in that short period of time so that you can convince the judge why this person needs to be released today. There are so many, we talked about this the other day with another person, there's so much collateral damage that happens when a person is arrested. Now, we get it. People who are charged with heinous crimes, obviously, we're not concerned about them losing their job, right? But then there are those folks who are, there is none of violent offenses, and you want to decide, hey, let's say, for example, somebody is charged with auto burglary or business burglary, which is one of those charges that happen when a business is not in business anymore, but you just went in and went to sleep. We had a lot of those, right?
Really?
Those people sometimes are already on Social Security. But if you're locked up, it stops, and you lose those benefits and those rights. And so alternative sentencing is so important because, like I said, rehabilitating at the start of the arrest allows you to preserve some dignity for that person, some things that the houses, the cars, the jobs. And so because if you strip them of everything from the moment that they're arrested, and let's say they're sitting in jail for another 90 days to a year, then you want to put them back out on the street, and you wonder why you're getting recidivism, and you wonder why the crime rates are going up, because you've stripped this person of everything and then asked them to start over with nothing.
Well, let me tell you something that is very hard to hear and to bear.
Yes, sir.
I must say that the legal profession, including the police officers, the judges, the probation officers, and others, are responsible for what you just said.
Yes, sir.
You all cared nothing about, and when I say you all, I'm talking about the profession.
Yes, sir.
About the whole person.
There you go.
If you are a public defender and you will have a docket of 7 or 8 people, 5 minutes or less, and I know about this kind of thing, all you doing is playing with that person's life, and you're getting ready to destroy him because you're not happy with your docket. You know you have too many. You're not satisfied with your pay, and you're not even satisfied with the job. You're always looking for another opportunity. And most public defenders, there are some exceptions, always looking for that elevation. But I do know some been doing the same thing 10 and 15 years, and then they leave. Or they leave and go to private practice and return. Now, as a judge in Hinds County,
yes, sir,
what kind of innovative strategies will you put in effect after you form a new judges association or get with one that's already existing and work on these things that you just mentioned? No time for the young people or others when you work as a public defender. You put them in jail. You take all their legal rights away from them. You all allow them to serve that 10, 15, or 20 years, and when they get out, they're worse than they were when they got in because you didn't teach them anything, you didn't provide any rehabilitation, and they leave with $10 or $15 with the clothes they had in a bag when they took it from them 10 years or 5 years ago. No driver's license,
right,
no birth certificate,
right,
no job training. And I want you to tell the listeners and the viewers, what can you do to address these new progressive ideas starting on the day of trial?
First of all, you have to allow it. So you're talking to someone. The question that you're asking elicits the philosophy of who I am, right? And the philosophy of who I would be as a judge.
Exactly.
And so if I've already been a public defender, and this is what I did as a public defender, I already knew the system was against us, right? I knew I had 5 to 8 minutes. So it's either fight with the judge about getting 20 more minutes or do what I got to do in 5 to 8 minutes, right? And so in 5 to 8 minutes, I developed a skill set to be able to access the pertinent questions and be able to say, hey, this is why this person needs to be out. Now, judges agreed. Sometimes they didn't. When they didn't agree, then And it was my job to immediately go to and visit that client, right, to the jail. I don't wait until he's indicted or months down the line. I know the time is of the essence. So I go and visit that client. This is how I managed my cases for 3 years. Went down to visit my client. He told me those pertinent details of the crime, right? I then went back to the office, got into a city issued or county issued vehicle, and me and my partner, and we did our own investigations. This is before you being indicted. Then you set that person for a preliminary hearing within 2 weeks. Preliminary hearing is like a mini trial. You're on the record. So whatever this officer says happened is now on the record, right? And so if you've already done the investigation, you show up 2 weeks later for this preliminary hearing, you can more intelligently question the officer on the probable cause he used to make this arrest, right? And oftentimes, my cases were dismissed. And so I started to create a record of getting dismissals at preliminary hearing, thereby preventing the whole indictment process and getting another judge getting it, and then some other public defender who's not as passionate as I am getting it, and then pleading the person out because you've done the work on the front end. And so a lot of what I did allowed me to build my own reputation. And even though I was getting charged dismissed, I learned the officers respected me for doing the work, right? And so that's my job as a public defender. As a prosecutor, what did I do? It gave me more power at this point, right? I don't have to fight as hard. But then at that time, I knew what cases were actually worth going forward on and what cases I can say, hey, Judge, I don't have the evidence on this. I can't prosecute this case. And having already experienced being a defense attorney, I know what it means to try and beat a dead horse. Right? And so I would have young people who come in or young men who would be charged with domestic violence, and the victim is somebody who just mad that day. And
so you're a defense attorney before prosecution?
Before prosecution. So I went to law school to be a public defender. That was my whole dream to do.
Really?
To be able to
save, they said.
Not necessarily save them, but I didn't understand. I really didn't understand the concept of all of us going to law school, getting the law license, but then you over here who was charging $100,000 could win a case, but I can't. Who's getting paid $70,000 a year or $50,000 a year? I can't win a case. I was trying to correlate that, and there really is no correlation. It's just the want to, right? So I could be in private practice and charge you X amount of $1,000.
Right.
But I said, okay, well, let me see as a public defender if I can still give this same quality work. And you not be able, you know how to pay for it. And so I realized it's just it's the attorney himself. There is no, it wasn't no difference between being in private and public. And so that was the test that I did.
Okay.
And so as a prosecutor, I was able to say, okay, these cases, I don't have the evidence on this. I had people coming in who, like you said, had been in prison 10 years and they still owe the city $10,000. Well, I'm able to say, hey, Judge, can we do time served on this? This young man's trying to go to CDL class tomorrow, get his license. And so, again, that philosophy, right, as a prosecutor, as police attorney, what did I do then? Because I now have the experience of being a police attorney, a public defender, and a prosecutor, now I'm writing general orders. I'm writing policies now that affect the community. So now my mindset is on how do I protect the citizens and protect the police officers at the same time. And so you have to have those types of minds in place. So even though maybe the purpose was for me initially was to be a public defender and to be of service, the purpose is still the same. You just change positions.
Yeah, whether you're on the prosecuting side or the defending side, isn't your whole purpose to make society better?
Period. It should be.
If you're going on the defense, it's to help people who may be wrongly accused to have a fair trial and get home to their family. And if you're on the prosecuting side, you want to make sure that those evildoers get what they deserve too.
Exactly.
So when I look at the justice system, it seems like all the corruption is at the top, but all the punishment is at the bottom.
So I want to go back to Dr. Henderson's question as well as what to do on day one.
The
system is not. The system is when you think about a system, you think about the mechanics. You think about maybe something twisting and turning, but it's really a person. It's really somebody deciding to do the work that day, deciding to move the paperwork off their desk, right? And so because I know what I know and the experience that I've had and how I know how to affect society ultimately on day one, I already know that when a case comes before me, I'm already knowing that let's think about alternative solutions. We got a backlog. If I keep resetting this for trial, then guess what? The backlog keeps going on. I show up on time for work because people are oftentimes on lunch break. And so you got to respect folks' time when they're coming into a courtroom. And oftentimes people are nervous. They're in the worst position in their life when they're coming to court. And so I think that it's also important to not only make sure the family members have dignity, but also the offenders have dignity as well when you're speaking to them and being respectful.
And you're talking about the short amount of time. I mean to cut you off. But do we have enough public defenders? to handle the caseload in such a way where they do have the time to?
Well, in Hinds County, I don't think that we have as many public defenders as we have prosecutors, and also they don't get paid as much as prosecutors get paid. And one of the things I noticed when I clerked for Judge Green, one of the things I noticed with her is that Judge Green went and wrote a lot of her own orders about certain things. So she would write an order one time where she said, well, if you hadn't made an indictment in 90 days, then they need to be released or have a hearing to say why they're still being held. That sort of helped with backlogs. She also went and she fought a lot of times to get equal pay for the public defenders. And
I'm not sure why you wouldn't have it.
There's not, but they've never been on the same scale. So you would have public defenders making $60,000 representing Joe, and you got the prosecutor making $110 that's prosecuting Joe.
It's like we're basically saying defending these citizens, your cousins, brothers, and sisters, isn't worth as much as we want to put them in jail.
Well,
that's what it looks like to little old me over here. It's like we'd rather have you in jail for this prison, work release, this work prison, because it's not regular prison anymore. They working them now.
Well, so here's the thing: you got to also understand why prisons exist. You got to go back to the Constitution and 13th Amendment, which says that slavery is illegal except that if you're a criminal.
Again, that's why I can't stand how we have the justice system set up, and why I was really wanting to talk to you about, because you kind of into the prison reform thing. And for me, aren't we, especially us, aren't we paying attention to the fact that prisoners are picking cotton, picking watermelons?
We're paying attention.
Are we not paying attention?
When it's trending. When criminal justice reform, that term started trending, everybody was like criminal justice reform.
When Jay-Z go.
Yeah. So and if the people who are actually doing the work are not taking pictures, they're not hashtagging, they don't have time. We're doing the work. And so that's the difference between those of us who have always known that we were the new civil rights attorneys and those of us who are just jumping on the bandwagon and do the job. So it's a difference between also doing the job and being called to do it, right? If you, like you said earlier, if you do the job and you just want to get to the next level, then you're just going to do enough to get by. But you got to be willing to buck the system.
Well,
you got to be willing to be innovative and try new things. And if, as a judge, I'm saying that we had 5 to 8 minutes, but the judge could have easily said, you got as long as you need in order to prepare for this next hearing.
Yeah.
So you can also, it's your courtroom.
Well, let me tell you, Attorney Morgan, I understand that in many instances, the public defender does not see the person in person until sometime he or she is scheduled to go to trial. They do everything by looking at the paper, maybe talking to them on the phone, and just hoping that they could get something redressed and addressed before trial. Is that true?
No, that's not true in my case. I work with some very dedicated public defenders. Like I said, if my client was arrested on Friday, I was assigned to municipal court. And if my client was arrested on Friday, we likely had trial Monday. And that's when I met my client, Monday. And if his bond was too high, then I went immediately after court to go visit him, or within the next 24 hours to go and visit him to figure out what the evidence was against him, like I said. And then we started working from there. Give him 2 weeks preliminary hearing, get that scheduled, and get it back. You have to be strategic in it, because if let's say the person was charged with, if he was charged with a convicted felon with a firearm, and the facts wasn't that different, in order to get him out easier or sooner, then I would have I would turn around and have the preliminary hearing that same week in municipal court. The only difference is you're not on a record, right? But you're able to get with a prosecutor then and say, hey, can we work this out? Can he afford $5,000? Can we reduce the bond to that? I mean, he pay 10% of that. Excuse me. But if it was like a murder or something like that, right, or something that you wanted the facts out on, then you would have to at least wait 2 weeks so you can get it to the county court in order to have those preliminary hearings. But I was never the public defender that did everything without seeing my client. It mattered to me that the humanity piece stayed intact whenever, and that's why I said you have to actually be called to do the work in order to do it the way it's supposed to be done. But now I can't speak for all public defenders. There is a reputation for public defenders not doing their job, but I wasn't one of them.
Well, I do know for a fact that there are a lot of them out there that don't do their job.
Yes,
they just get paid.
Yes, sir.
And that's why they do their best to leave as soon as possible.
Yes, sir.
But that's another story.
Yes, sir.
But I'm concerned about how will you address the issue of juvenile delinquency prior to the young people in Hinds County violate the law. All of us know that certain educational characteristics will determine whether a young person end up in juvenile negative situations, usually because of lack of education, lack of discipline, lack of parenting skills.
Did I say upbringing?
And the ability that they do not have stability in their homes. Now, what can you do before, out in the community, the young people are brought to someone like you? Isn't there some things you could do as a citizen prior to being the judge?
Absolutely. And it's something that I'm already doing. I'll talk about it from a personal standpoint first, and then I'll remind me if I forget to share about the program. But from a personal standpoint, because I come from a single-parent home, second child of 7, mom was taking me to on and off the house. We didn't have much, right? Mom didn't graduate high school, so there are no politicians or lawyers in my family. So when I speak and when I do the work, it's from a place of personal experience, right? It's from a place of knowing, of being the exception, knowing that not everybody gets out, right? And so because I'm so unique to this set of facts, and my awareness is such that I can see children who were once me, right? So, for example, my son is now in middle school, but he was in elementary just a year ago. And, I keep an eye on who his friends are and all of that. And so he has this young friend. And it's something about this young man. And I said to myself, I was like, he reminds me of me. And it's like being as a child, you can't change your circumstances, right? But it's like being in circumstances that you can't change, but you want more, right? And so seeing him, I was taking him riding with my son one day, and they were in the back seat talking. And he asked my son, he said, where have you traveled to? And my son went to name in different places he had traveled to. And my son said, oh, where have you traveled to? And he said, well, I don't really go many places. He said, all I want to do is get in some cold water, not a bathtub, but I just want to get in some water, like at a beach somewhere. And I didn't say anything. But then next time I had a moment off, and it's probably like within the next 2 weeks, I chose a place that had water. And I said, call him up. Call him, and he went with us. Had the time of his life. And so it's allowing children to sit at your feet personally, and you don't have to say a word, and letting them experience what it's like. He knows that Jackson's mom is a lawyer, right? So he can say, and I keep in contact with this, but it wasn't a one-moment thing. It's me making sure and ensuring that despite your circumstances or your surroundings, that there's other things out there. And so I think as citizens, we don't have to wait for a judge. We don't have to wait for a vote. Right. We don't have to wait for programs. We can each one teach one, right? When you get one child and you allow them to just experience seeing you in a different light, seeing me be a judge, seeing me running for office or being a lawyer and traveling 3 hours, and that experience is going to stick with that child. That's one thing. That's my personal experience. Now, the other part of it is how to reach more. Well, as the attorney for the Jackson Police Department, what we're working on now is a community-based program. And they started out, of course, as police saying, okay, if so-and-so is charged with X, Y, and Z, we'll do this. I got the bright idea. I said, hey, how about we not wait until they're charged with something? How about we utilize these schools? Because the teachers know who are at risk.
Do y'all still have officer friendly?
I'm not sure. I can check into that. It may be called something else.
Officer friendly, you would know.
Well, it may be, like I said, it may be called something else. But I know that Chief Vance he's Captain Vance and Chief Wade have always been dedicated to the youth, the young people, and doing what they call it, Jackson. They call them police something, the young something. I think it's Young Cubs or something like that. Yeah. That they work with them on. They've done some programs. And my child played basketball with them one time, but we're working on a program now where we don't wait until they've been charged with the crime. You get in contact with those teachers. They know who are at risk, and then you start funneling kids through programs that way without having to wait and say, "Hey, he's a delinquent already. Let's avoid all of that. Now let's go ahead and show them other avenues through this way, and then maybe we can avoid them being juvenile delinquents."
Yeah. That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
And if you do the work before the problem, you won't have the problem.
Exactly, proactive.
And a good example is what you talked about. Your son and his friend were sitting back there talking. You were not interfering. You were trying to keep your eye on the road, and you heard what I called a salvation moment. in this boy's subconscious mind, saying to your son, you have done everything. I haven't done a thing.
Exactly.
And you went on and made it happen. You might not understand right now and realize you might have changed that boy's life. You might have put him on the thing that
She
he
sounds
needed
like she cares about
to
people,
moving
don't
in the right direction.
Oh,
And he'll
no.
probably tell you this in 10 or 15 years.
I believe that. I know exactly. I know that I was that child, so I knew exactly how precious that moment was.
One of
That's
us
why I
gotta
say
be
it's
the
so
bad guy,
important.
Doc.
Go ahead.
I don't believe that. She ain't that good.
You don't think so?
Well, you know, that sound like, what movie was that on
Let
that
me
you
tell you.
did that? Because, like, I'm always talking about we need people in positions that care. But how many times do we see them on television caring? But then, in the reality of things, the city doesn't look like it's being cared about.
Well, let me
so
tell you,
I hear you.
I don't want to interfere, Dr. Williams, but I'm going to
I'm trying to be the bad guy, even though I'm hearing so
I
much
know.
good stuff.
But the thing is, you might look at this fact.
But it might not be bad. Need to be a bad guy today.
It's necessary to be good and bad at all times, and that's the next question I'm going to be asking you. So now, if you have a young person, and he or she has been violating the law, starting with misdemeanors, been into a situation where they have committed a few what I call a minor felony. You know, there are a lot of different felonies. And they are 17 years of age, still a minor, and they get involved in some of this stuff we see here in Jackson, Memphis, and other states, especially California, Massachusetts, and others, where they are committing murder, drive-bys. Would you have any kind of consideration for that person other than putting him on trial as an adult and giving him the maximum that you can give him legally, or would you try to reform him and put him in a program with his bad history of violence?
Well,
Address that and share with our viewers and listeners how you would do this.
yes, sir. So first, I want to say that county court does not sentence anyone.
Oh, I know.
Okay, so I wanted that to be clear. The position that I'm running for with county court, if I were to be assigned to criminal, we do preliminary hearings, initial appearances. If you appeal a charge, which is a misdemeanor offense, from the municipal court, then the appeal would come to county court. But as far as somebody being charged with murder and being placed on trial, me sentencing them, that wouldn't happen in county court. But to answer your question, if I were a circuit court judge, and that came before me, and that child was under 18, what you would want is the hearing would still need to take place. It wouldn't be an automatic, let's charge this person as an adult. The hearing takes place where a counselor, a certified counselor, is a part of that hearing, and certain questions are answered to determine if that person can be rehabilitated or not. Right? If they can't be rehabilitated, then you go ahead on and either they waive
Is there
in.
such a thing cannot be rehabilitated?
I don't necessarily. I mean,
Is that a real thing? Like, you trying to tell me that a human being, this is not can't teach an old dog new
Right.
tricks. This is a person.
yeah.
We can't love somebody back into
I think
society as a decent, hard-working person, happy person.
But I think in this regard, again, you have to determine. You got to determine what's on his mind. What was the facts and circumstances?
Yeah.
I think that sometimes, unfortunately, you would have to charge some people as adults, depending on the facts and circumstances. And that would probably be the light bulb that need to go on in that person's head. Because if you keep slapping this person on the wrist over and over again, then they're not realizing the seriousness of their crimes. And I don't think even today, I don't think people are realizing just how finite death is. Because if it was, I don't think these kids would be pulling these guns and using these switches and so often the way they're doing it.
Well, we got to remember, a part of our problem is the adults, the parents.
It's true.
They're part of the problem.
It's true.
My generation, which is the parents of these children that are kind of running all over the place, we don't want to hold ourselves accountable for anything we've said, done, witnessed. And I'm seeing grown men, 50 years old, with sagging pants. He got a gun. So what do you think is at the house when what do you think the children doing?
And so that's why it's important, like I said earlier, to have these hearings, because oftentimes you would have somebody who you say is 50 years old, 40, 30, who's older, who has influenced the younger person to do something and say, hey, if you get caught, you're young, they're not going to do anything.
Right.
If we're not having these hearings, then the young person who's been been victimized twice, right? He then loses everything. But if we actually, if we don't treat them all like an assembly line, which is what we find happening in courts, is there's an assembly line happening. But if we stop that and have the actual hearing, we can determine that, hey, he was around the wrong person.
Right.
And things like Job Corps replaces your environment with what you have. Otherwise, I put you on a $50,000 bond, and you go back to your uncle who put you in here in the beginning with, and when I expect you to change your mind in 24 hours, 40 hours, 2 weeks, no. The environment has to change. I have sense enough to know I'm from the Delta, that had I raised my son in the Delta, the environmental factors.
He'd know how to make moonshine.
You see what I'm saying? And so
we need more moonshine.
Everything goes in hand. Nourishing to nurture a child, the environment goes in hand. I can nurture him in the wrong environment and still end up wrong. Yeah. But if I nurture him and I change the environment as well, then I probably got a better chance.
You do have a better chance. And just like you were saying with the other young man, his family may not be able to afford to take him to the beach.
Right.
But the experience of going, that's a motivational thing in itself. He's seen something else different, and he know it's possible.
And there you go.
So if I've seen so many kids that are just trying to be like what they seen around them. I did cable in Memphis 3 years. It was terrible talking to some of those young kids. Especially, it's like you don't know how much poverty is really out there until you're right there in it.
Right.
And seeing some of these kids tell me, I have never left North Memphis. I'm like, North Memphis is this big, dude. You ain't never left North Memphis? Never left North Memphis. So imagine at 18 years old, you've never left the north side of town. Your whole world is within 6 square miles.
Is it?
So taking that young man out there, like Doc said, I don't think you know how much in the future he's going to remember that experience. And I think we need more of that. We got mentorship programs out here. But here's where I look at it as a problem, and the reason I'm not really working with the kids and I get on the parents a lot is because we can take those kids to the nicest places and teach them all the wonderful things, and then they go home to crazy.
Yeah.
So what I try to focus on is to remind us, parents, hey, been out there with y'all. I was at the party too. But guess what? I had to wake up and realize these kids are watching us. Mm-hmm. They, and I think what changed me, and it rings in my head, I had one of my young cousins tell me, you my favorite cousin. And I don't think he knew how I felt about myself at the time. You know, I couldn't have been more in my addiction. I couldn't have been more lost. I couldn't have been more confused and like, what am I going to be when I grow up? Mm-hmm. And he like, you my favorite cousin, you always having fun, and you always sing them. Dude, that's in this bottle. That's my happy right here. So that kind of stuck with me for a while until I started making those moves in a different direction to change. And it never left me that they really watching us and what we're doing. So when you talking about reforming the kids and giving them other options and going to Job Corps, I'm definitely looking at that. And while we were sitting here talking, I was thinking part of I don't know if I sent it to you, but I know I sent you that plan I had about the micro gardens. What if we started using those kids that don't have skills and teaching them the importance of taking care of the earth and the feeding of us, because AI has got so many jobs finna disappear. Mm-hmm. Like I was telling you the other day, I don't have to write code. I just tell AI what code I want it to write. So it knows Python. So I'm gonna just talk to this, and then my app is voila. So we're gonna have a lot of people who don't have jobs. The hands-on jobs are the ones that we need to start focusing on. And one of those to me, most important is our mental health as it is related to our food. These kids are living in a food desert. Mm-hmm. Most of them don't know what vegetables are. And if you don't have healthy diets, it's no way you can function mentally to your maximum potential. So I think we have everything we need in place, having new faces, new ideas, not stuck on the old ways, not looking at you and saying old ways. I'm saying, as an elder, the way that things have been going hasn't benefited the younger people as much as it has benefited your generation. Y'all got started earlier. By the time we got here, it's 2 companies that make all the coffee. It's 3 companies that own all the media. So everything's being consolidated into a monopoly, which I thought when I was in economics class, we're not supposed to be having.
And I want to say, as you're talking about young people and talking about how things hadn't changed, was because I don't think I'm too far from being
one of the young people.
Yeah, and so
You calling us old?
No, the saying is that if you're the ones closest to the problem is closest to the solution. You ever heard that saying?
I've heard it.
And so for me, and I keep saying this, having come from a single parent home, there are so many benefits. And you're treated a different way when you come from a 2-parent home. Follow me. Yeah. So when you come from a 2-parent home, when you come from an affluent family, when you come from people in your family who've been doctors and lawyers already, there's a certain leg up, a certain head start that you get.
Yeah.
And so for me, not only do I so the point of me saying is not only do I represent a new face in this political game, right? I represent so many children, and it gives them the opportunity to say, I can do it too, even though my mom's not a lawyer, even though nobody's in my family is a politician, I still can do it. And I think it's so important because even as old as I am, I still fight against having opportunities because I don't come from a certain family. You know what I mean? And so it's important to. So when I'm running for office, you have those the political games that happen that just comes with any race you run in. Mm-hmm. But then, like I said, it's also having to fight against not having enough, not having to call somebody and say, hey, how did you do this? They don't know because you're the first person to do it. Well, you know what I mean? That's
another reason. I'm glad you brought that up. It's another reason I want to say it's time for us to quit looking at those family names and those people who have, I got so many connections. I'm sorry. I just drove over here and hit 3-4 potholes that I thought I knew how to dodge them all, and I still hit 3 or 4 new ones. So your connections and however you run in the city, have we not been able to see it's failing? That whatever way you're doing it, can we not tell? We had 16 schools closed. Can we not tell that buddy friend system doesn't work? I've been in here in these offices up here, and I know everybody here. You the first one we need to get the hell rid of.
And you know why? Because that's called groupthink. And when it's groupthink, you lose. You get the imagining part comes out. So and then groupthink is more concerned with how do I satisfy the egos of everybody in the group. And you miss out on the cause instead of the cause. And so a person who is not connected politically or otherwise, they have the advantage to take risks, right, and to have these innovative ideas to do the thing because you don't have anybody you're trying to appease, but the cause. And so I think when we really start getting into how people are thinking and get away from the group thinking, let people just do the work.
And that's why I said we got an opportunity now, Doc. And he knows, we just found out most of the people are independent thinking. 51% of America right now, 51% consider themselves independent. So that's 23% Democrat or Republican and the other 25%. We still outnumber both of those groups, even if they teamed up and joined hands and sang, please don't fire us. We still can fire them. So for me to know the numbers, we can put new people in who not on the buddy system. We can put people in who don't have the last name from 10, 15. His family's so powerful around here. Well, guess what? Vote their asses out of here. They don't have no power. get them off of these boards. Because when they get hired, guess what they do? Contract to my buddy, my friends. You ain't never got to go to jail, Johnny. You run over a couple of people. You could kill somebody, hide the body behind the jail. Too many friends have kept too many friends out of trouble. Unfortunately, the city has paid for that. We've lost jobs. The manufacturing is non-existent in the city of Jackson. I got a lake being done something to. Doc, you're the only one who ever told me anything about it.
But Lake Hyco.
Lake Hyco. What's happening with the lake? You know what I remember? Remember I was telling you about the construction in Atlanta when I went over there, right? All right, so as I'm seeing all this new stuff, I'm also seeing plans for something else. And this is how Atlanta did it. They got so-and-so construction will be developing this land. They got a picture of what they planning on doing. They got the construction company name. They got the completion date expected, all right there on the corner of where they're working, so that the people, the tax-paying citizens, driving by and they say, "Hey, that's gonna be really nice when they finish. That looks good." What do we have over here at Lake Hyco to let us know what they're doing in our city? Who has the construction job? What are they actually doing specifically? Or Pacific, whichever one you want to be on. What are they doing, and why aren't you telling the citizens? Because if you're not telling us, to me it's because it's something evil going on, and y'all trying. Is that why I'm seeing a store getting ready to open up here on the corner of Northside and Watkins? Chicken and fish?
CFC, isn't it?
Is that why it's a sign popping up over here, some land for sale? Are y'all trying to buy up the land? As somebody told me once, these politicians don't have enough money. That's why they never opened the land and raised the property values in those areas. We got so many problems in this area. It's so many problems. Let me tell you something. I was mad at the mayor only. And then I calmed down a little bit and I realized, damn it, the governor stay in Jackson too. So the governor and the mayor live in this city, and it looks like this. So the only thing I could come up and say in my mind is, so what y'all decided to do as, you know, the one bird with two wings that you are, is we're going to fix everything east of Fondren, and because we'll live and hang out over there, and we'll just let that side to the west just go to hell. Now, you could have developed those cheaper properties over there. We got a whole plant up here. Nissan, Amazon just opened another plant. Amazon's up here. We could have been housing and getting property taxes from all those employees. We wouldn't have had to close 16 schools. We got a superintendent, somebody told me he make $400,000 a year. Holy in Mississippi moly. 400 grand in Mississippi? And he has how many assistants? And I'm confused by how this, who did his contract? I'm finna start going online to find out, does Atlanta superintendent make 400 grand a year? 400,000? So for me, I'm wondering, are we now, since, you know, they look like me in charge, we don't have city employees anymore, not like we used to, which were hourly paid, and somehow those hourly employees got so much done around the city. Now we have contractors, and the city looks like garbage. So, Your Honor, let's speak things into the future. Your Honor, how can we fix our community if nobody wants to prosecute the problems? Like, I know somebody can't get a lawyer to prosecute for them. I can't get a lawyer. Don't want to prosecute. Oh, I'm not suing them. That's a conflict of interest. See, as long as we have those things taking place, how can we guarantee any confidence in our judicial system from the people who voting for you?
I mean, that goes back to what I was saying about groupthink. The voters have to educate themselves on who's connected to who, and you run into those issues when you, like you said, when you hire those people, because you have to hire me, when you hire those people who are already connected to so many people, or who, you know, have so-and-so behind them, then the conflict is going to rise, right? And so you have to get to a point, but in order to be impartial, you have to get away from groupthink. Right? People say all the time, I'm going to be fair, but are you going to be fair if, like you said, to your point, if somebody needs to sue X, Y, and Z?
Right.
Like, can you be fair? And so it's so important that you actually get those grassroots candidates. I say that's in any race.
Should we call them grass?
And I say grassroots
brand
because
new.
Or brand. That's just a better word.
Yeah.
Get those brand new candidates, not just a candidate who's just but a qualified brand new candidate, right? In order to get in those seats. These judicial races are so important. Y'all, it's so important. And people focus so much on the presidential election, and they focus so much on maybe the mayor race and locally, whatever, but they don't, the judicial races just skate by. And then you end up putting people in place, and you're like, oh, well, why this and why? Because you didn't pay attention. And it's so important. I say that as an attorney because actually, it became, I thought that as a lawyer, if I worked hard enough, if I filed the right motions, if I showed up to court on time, that I could guarantee my client some justice, right? Mm-hmm. And I learned my greatest lesson this year. And I won't say, I'll try to keep it as brief as possible, but it's 2 cases where I can tell y'all that the case was decided not based on facts, circumstances, or law.
Really?
And that is why my slogan has been "Judges Matter." And there's
so you're trying to say somebody got some nice treatment because of name recognition?
I don't know. I don't even know that has any. No, there was no names that I would think that was involved.
Just enough money.
It was just simply, and I don't know that either. It was just simply because you saw. I believe it was because you saw a charge that you, to no end, you would ignore all law to ensure that you got a headline on this charge. And I'll give you one brief example. The charge was trafficking. And
like human trafficking?
No, drug
trafficking. Okay.
I'm going to be clear on that. Drug trafficking.
Because I was about to say, if they ain't in jail for human trafficking, do I need to go find my Batman vigilante outfit?
And so one of the biggest issues with this case, we just, like I said, I told you day one, we start rehabilitating.
Right.
The first piece of paper that gets a person incarcerated is a warrant. Is that right? The officer calls and say, hey, I arrested so-and-so, but in order to get so-and-so into the courtroom, you have to have a warrant signed saying that you had probable cause to make the arrest. And then the person makes his official appearance inside of a courtroom to get a bond set, to be apprised of what they've been charged with, and get the bond set. Well, the warrant's supposed to be signed by a judge, isn't it?
Supposed to be, right?
That's the least y'all know about.
That's what I heard.
Well, this warrant was signed by the actual officer and investigator.
Okay.
And he also notarized it himself as well. And
he ain't in jail?
He's not in jail. The young man is in jail and was sentenced 35 years, day for day.
I see that right
and
there.
It gets worse, but that's just I just want to give you a brief little thing. And it's like a motion was filed to say, the rules say that it shall be signed by a judge.
It don't say when.
No, it's not about when. An officer.
It's supposed to be signed before. I'm trying to see how did they loophole this. But
there is no loophole other than you just turn your the other cheek, or you turn your head. And again, it's a system. It's a people who decide not to do their job. And so if the rules say that a judge has to sign their own warrant, let me give you an example. If the judges weren't supposed to sign their own warrant, then Officer Joe Blow can walk in here and say, oh, I see marijuana right there, and I'm signing the warrant to get you arrested. You know what kind of conflict that is? Because I'm finding probable cause of my own charge. That's why it has to be a neutral and detached magistrate to find probable cause in the issue. And so that's a whole other thing. But that's one case. And so
now these
there has to be
judges,
others.
Are these appointed judges?
That person started out as appointed, but then they got elected. And so that's another thing. When people are appointed, they assume that the position is theirs all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. But really, it's just some happenstance that happened to get you to fill the position until the term runs out, and now the seat is opened up.
Well, I guess I still have to say that we have to And this is just me. Think about it from where would you want to be when it comes to justice?
Yeah.
Would you want to be in a
Right.
position where somebody's on the left or the right,
Yeah.
or somebody who's in the center? I'm not on a team trying to please anybody.
There you go.
I'm trying to find out what's right and wrong. That's why I'm a judge. That's why I'm a lawyer. That's what that job is supposed to be. And I think we need to clean that up just as much as y'all talking about defund the police. Shit, we need to defund or vote out these judges, defund some of these crooked lawyers. Clean up our system. We are the 51% majority. How is the minority running us? And I was about to say something because it's really funny that, the more people I talk to, these older than you people, you kind of young, but I talk to our older people, our elders, we're leaning towards that majority is really us. We letting somebody else count our numbers. So that majority is being ran by a minority. A minority of evil people have told us, you're less than us in numbers, power, strength, and everything. And all of us had to do is we took a day off. We shut the system down. See, I believe in nonviolent change. I don't like marching. I don't like doing anything but striking. And so right now we're looking at a change coming in our country where we have 100% of the news owned by Republicans and Democrats. But the 51% majority, which call themselves independent thinkers, we didn't think to abide the media. We got a podcast, though. But we didn't think to abide the media, so we can't flood the airways with, we're in the lead. We just overtook Trump. You overtook Trump with, if you looking at 23% and 25% of the people, y'all overtook him from them. The whole 51% is still sitting over here like we didn't get polled. We don't like either one of y'all. We want something different. I just want Congress change. Pick who president you want to. I don't care. Can I get Congress? There's a reason they go in every 2 years to be reelected. There's a reason that the Senate is back in there every 6 years to be reelected. It's a reason those terms are there. It's for us to say, how does it look outside? Better or worse? All of us don't live in the suburbs. But why are we voting for suburb people? Vote like where you see. And if the majority of America is right now in poverty, struggling from check to check, watching inflation go crazy, but the rich people are telling us the economy is doing great. Stock market has never been higher.
And what they're saying is true for them.
For them.
Because I read a story a while ago where they said the guy was like, this book is red. And then they were like, no, the book is black. And he said, no, it's red. And so he turned it around. And the book was red because it was his perspective. On the one cover, it was red. On the other side, it was black. And so for those people who say that the economy is doing good, it is from their perspective. And what is not doing good is not from our perspective.
Well, they the people on TV, though. So, and that's the thing is the poor people aren't on TV saying anything. And there's another reason why I say what we do here, it matters. You coming in and sharing your story and let the people see who you are as a person. Randy Wildman Brown, my dude, and Ms. Wild. On the show, what's today, Friday? So this was Wednesday night. Talked about the superintendent, talked about the wages, and then they talked about an elementary school in Jackson that I had no idea about. Said they didn't have any air conditioning, no water running. Elementary school. These are babies now. Look here, the babies, elementary. No weren't running water in the school. You know how filthy elementary school kids are, but no running water. We talked about it that night on the talk show. The next day, Randy told me last night, Thursday, the superintendent was at the school putting new air conditioners on the top, over there fixing the water. Because we're quiet. See, there is no power in your silence.
None.
There's power in your words. So if you scared to call out somebody doing wrong, guess what? They're going to keep doing wrong.
Yep.
If you scared to say the corruption is taking place, they ain't finna do nothing. Miss Wild told me about the $40. She made it a bigger deal. I had already saw it, but I'm not really. I'm fighting so many battles I didn't want to fight that one. So I didn't say anything at the time when she told me, but I came in here and I did a little, a little practice run, practicing news, and I talked about the water issue on that segment. Posted it. Now everybody's talking about it. So whether it takes a week or a month, keep talking about it. Keep talking about the injustice. Keep talking about the change that we need. Keep talking about what you're doing in the community as a lawyer already to make it better for the kids so that they don't have to go to grown man prison. And maybe, hopefully we can work together with this project I'm working on to see if we can try and engage or steer some of those kids towards community farming. See, working with your hands, and this is from a fat, lazy man now, I'm just tell you. I really do see the relationship with lazy and your mental health. I recently decided I'm finna get up, start back exercising. I feel better. I told out, I decided I'm gonna start fasting. I feel so much better. It's almost like a missing piece of our health and how it's related to our food. We're eating some of the worst food you can possibly eat, and we're eating too much of it. And we're not taking the time to exercise like we used to. Kids used to play outside. Grown folks used to sit on the porch. We need to get back to that mindset of community and let go of this, I'm independent. I'm so independent. I'm by myself. I need my peace. Don't our peace start with our children being happy? Isn't that our peace, knowing that the kids are good? Doesn't that makes you sleep better at night, knowing you woke up in the morning and, I forgot to lock the door? It's not even a problem. Everybody's happy. The community's being taken care of. It's a fruit tree in the front yard, so ain't nobody breaking in here to steal no food. They can eat apples here and pears across over there. My grandmama, I remember granddaddy bit, sugar, fix him a plate. You hungry, boy?
When you said that, wow, I thought about pinto beans and cornbread.
I don't know, you're making me hungry, but I've been fasting. I'm about to come up this fast today.
So long, I want some now.
But Doc, you got some more stuff for Miss Morgan, yeah?
I most certainly
Attorney
do.
Morgan?
I most certainly do.
I know you got to get a Doc.
Yeah, I don't do that. I'm not very punitive at all.
The tough questions.
I know, sir, that the
What you think you should be
most
judged for?
serious problem that we have in the various parties, including the independents, is that they don't do what I've been advocating for 40 years. You have to organize and not criticize the human enemies of mankind. You look at where your positives are. You look at the situation and say, we have problems. I have a group of people that have the best education. We have more resources than the people that are running things. And our numbers are much greater. So all one has to do is organize, starting on the local level, in specific areas of responsibility. So if you don't like the education system, if you don't like what the police are doing, and on and on and on, all you have to do is put a prioritized corrective action plan together.
That's it.
After you have identified the problems.
That's it.
Every problem, you ought to have 1, 2, or 3 solutions to that problem. Put a timeline on it. Designate that problem to someone with 30, 60, 90 days to address it and what I call solve it or resolve it. And you will do this in 5 areas of responsibility. Education and training, economic development, politics, religion, and leadership. If you do this, especially the so-called independent sector, things will start changing overnight. But one thing for certain, the Republicans as a group and the Democrats as a group concern themselves with the status quo. They want to keep themselves in power and keep the others out. And they fight among each other, and every 5 to 13 years, they change. The Republicans in office 5 or 13 years, Democrats in, and they do the same thing with the same people. And the independents criticize them instead of organizing, because the independents have more education, more training, more money, better jobs than the Republican and Democrats that's running things. I'm talking about those elected and appointed officials.
We just don't have no news channels.
You don't organize yourselves. For instance, females. There's no reason in the history of the world that we don't have a strong female running for mayor in Jackson and some of these other major cities in America, because they outnumber the males that's voted. They have more education. They have more leadership and organizational skills, and they sit around and just let the same people in their sororities and fraternities run things, make the policy, delegate the funds, and then most of them are so lazy, as Mr. Williams said a few minutes ago, they prioritize everything that they're supposed to be managing. And they let somebody get a big contract to take care of the garbage, allow someone to take care of the educational opportunities, allow someone to buy a politician and get a contract to manage the prisons. And then those Republicans and Democrats that's in office have to do one thing, that is stay in office for 30 days so they can get paid. They're not responsible. They don't have to be timely. And all they want to do is hope, and they do a lot of praying then, hope that they can stay in that office long enough to retire, and then they're going to head to Florida. That's Republicans and Democrats, black and white. Or if they are a mayor or a council person in the city, when they retire, they're going to leave that area in most cases and go to the suburbs. And if they have been in office over 15 years, where they've been able to take a lot of bribes, get a lot of what I call undercover stocks and bond activity, and those that have these connections with one, that they've been given opportunities where the kids can go to school and get a scholarship, they then leave that area and move into a gated community. They don't want to be bothered. And if people like you, Attorney Morgan, don't get in office and do something that's going to change the status quo, today ought to be your last day of campaigning for this position. If you can say to yourself, I'm going to be a change agent. I'm going to work for the new man. I am going to create a new system, even though it's going to be difficult. That's my job, because my background allows me to be a change agent. Because if you were born in the Delta, how long did you live in that Delta?
17 years. 17
years.
Ain't you up from you?
You most certainly.
Close to that, ain't it?
That's why I say I've been here longer.
You most certainly ought to be a change agent.
Absolutely, I am.
And hey, I don't want to get into it, but I will tell you, I had a similar experience. I lived on a plantation for 17 years in my early life. I'm not on that plantation today because I found that to get off any bad ride in life, you have to organize and look to your right, left, center, and back, and see or find something that you can look at and say, I want to be like that.
That's it.
Then
That's it.
You do one other little thing. You either do the research or call that person and say, how did you get where you are? And then do it consistently. Gradually, though, while you move yourself out of your current situation.
That's it.
And then say, as I conclude, I will never go back.
That's it.
Never. That's where you change things.
That's it.
And it can be done in 30, 60, or 90 days. Guaranteed. But first, you have to start with yourself. Your family is second, and then your community is third. 30, 60, 90 days, organize and don't criticize the human enemies of mankind, because potential judge, they will not die unless you kill them. And if you want to kill them, you have to kick them out of office. And that's include the preachers.
Preachers. Uh-oh.
Now,
We want to talk about that. We doing
I'm
politics
done.
right now.
I'm done. I
doing
don't have any
politics.
other questions for you.
I love it.
right.
So that means I must have passed the test with Dr. Henderson.
I'm surprised. I thought it was gonna be he finna get you. I don't know. It's time for change, and I think both of us heard change in your spirit. The opportunity for our young people to have a different path. I think he worked at Job Corps.
And I mean, I didn't even, you see what I'm saying? Do you
Like,
see
really,
how
like,
it
come on,
aligns?
man.
I didn't know anything about Dr. Henderson working at Job Corps.
So bringing that into it, and I'll say this: people out there in the world now, people steal ideas all day, but remember where you heard it first. The person who is talking about taking your kids away from the jail cell and putting them in a Job Corps program. This is the first person I've heard since I've been out here and cussing y'all out about doing
We got
better.
74 days left until the election, and you've only heard it from
Miss Attorney Morgan. So when I'm thinking about the kids and the future and what I want to see happen, I definitely want to see him going to Job Corps. My brother went to Job Corps. He went to the military afterwards. I've seen it take people who are maybe just not on. Everybody ain't got the 18 plus ACT score, finna go to Alcorn, Jackson State, USA. Everybody don't have that. Some people are having a rough time at home, so they're not able to handle the school work necessary to graduate. That doesn't mean they dumb.
Right.
That don't mean they lost. It means they need a different environment, like Attorney Morgan said. Sometimes we mentor these children and we send them right back home to the parents who need to be up here getting some free therapy on Saturdays. Give me a call or send me a message, uaphm@yahoo.com, if you need some of that free therapy. Because the parents at home, if I'm in the parents, like I'm the parents' age, and I'm like, why y'all still listening to that music? Like, I thought we grew up a little bit.
And then I'll say something too that you made me think about was, you know how they send attorneys and judges and all of us to different conferences annually to learn these things and learn about parents and what we should be thinking. It's like, okay, I got all this knowledge and I come by and I just wait till a case come before me. Or we can be sending these parents to these conferences so they can get it directly. You know, and
Bring
so
the conferences
bring the
here.
conferences here, because I also don't think that it benefits me to collect all these certificates and all these hours to be able to wait until something happens to try to respond to it, when at the end of the day they got to go back home.
Yeah.
If they're young. So if we educate these parents and give them the resources they need, some kind of way combine after school program with a parent program or something to allow to have it online, however you can get it to them.
Let's
but
work
get
at
those
it.
resources to them. And one of the things that Dr. Hinton talked about was, and that made me think about, was disassociation. When you were talking about the 90-day and 30-day and thinking about how to get to where you got to get to. And I would just remember as a little girl and just automatically knowing that there was something better. I was always a deep thinker. The first thing I saw that made me want to be a lawyer was I was in my first grade class or second grade class, and the teacher had a bulletin board up that said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And she had little cutouts. And it was a white man with a gray suit on, a briefcase. It said lawyer. I said, I want to be him. I want to wear what
That's why you wore the gray jacket today.
I mean, and so, but I never knew what a lawyer entailed. This is me, 8 years old.
You just knew you wanted to wear that jacket.
Yeah. But before then, I will say when I was 5, I heard people say she likes to read. She's going to be a doctor or a lawyer. So it was already a little bit planted there. And then you see, okay, this is what lawyers wear. But then as you get 12 and 13, you start to really look in your environment and see then, well, how could me being a lawyer? And then you start to see this underprivileged neighborhood and see the police coming in and say, oh, I can be a public defender. And so that's how it evolved.
Yeah.
But even until I got to that moment, until I got to law school, until I got to Jackson State, I was in my room. And all I had was a television. And so that was the way that I saw where else I could be. and saw how I could get. I don't know how to get there, but it was like watching Nick, and it was something about watching Nick at Night and disassociating from my environment. Watching Nick at Night, watching Mary Tyler Moore, I Love Lucy, and it was just the feelings that it gave you in watching that.
So
that
TV
helped
didn't
to move
rob
me.
you. So TV didn't rob you of time. It inspired you.
Because I was always good in school and honor roll and all of that, homecoming. But it inspired me to say, this is not my... I go outside, there's no grass in my yard. But on TV, they have this beautiful lawns and this beautiful, the parents are making breakfast in the morning and cutting out sandwiches. And it was like, that's what I want, And so those kind of things. So I think about, too, they don't have Nick at Night now, right? So a lot of times the young people are disassociating with drugs. Disassociating with cane.
That's what they see.
That's what they see. You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
But that's what the parents are doing too.
Yeah. Exactly. And it could possibly be. And so, but the end goal is they're disassociating from what they've been born into. And they're using this tool to escape this.
Yeah.
So we got to find out. You got to find out, number one, what your problem is, like you said, and then what's the solution. And if you're doing the work, whether it be public defender, prosecution, or whatever, if you're doing the work for real, then you're seeing what the problems are. You're coming up with a solution, so that when you have these conversations, you're not just like with this spitting out this, cookie cutter. Oh, I'm gonna create an expungement program. We're already doing that. You know what I mean? Or I want to. But how do you get down to the meat of the matter? And that's what we have to focus on. That's what I'm ready to do on day one. So, go ahead.
Yeah, Attorney Morgan.
Yes, sir.
You said something that's so important. Until if people will think about it and they're going to see it and hear you say it, your life had to be determined in those early days by you focusing on something you didn't know anything about. Now imagine, you had an opportunity to see a Caucasian attorney in a suit with a suitcase, and you decided to be a lawyer. Think about the reverse. As a young second grader, if you had seen a black female in a dress and not pants with a suitcase, and she was a judge, you were in your 30s now, you would already be on the state Supreme Court.
Possibly.
If you had looked at that year and decided, I'm going to be a black female judge instead of a lawyer in second grade. Matter of fact, you'll be headed towards the Supreme Court by the time you're 45.
Yes, sir.
See what happened?
And hey,
I hate to predict, but I know from my experience that if you see certain things at a certain time and you're not lazy, as Dr. Williams said, you don't have to have no 18 or 19 or 20 on the ACT. Whatever you have, you can work with that and improve it. There's something called self-improvement. There's something called tutoring. Get with someone that know more than you know about whatever it is. I used to do that all the time. They felt sorry for me and gave me an opportunity to go to Jackson State University. I wasn't qualified at that time, but I was able to get in there because I couldn't go elsewhere. And the bad news was that I didn't waste my time satisfying myself saying, I'm going to quit because things are hard.
Right.
I'd started getting tutoring from people that knew more than I knew. I didn't have money to pay them. So I would just worry those people to death that knew how to write a good sentence, who had the math skills, who had the ability to talk and look at a person and use what we call standard English and not use the English that I was brought up with. This and that, Mater, Taylor. That's right. That's the way I was brought up. For over 17 years.
Yes, sir.
It was acceptable. So that's why you might really give your opponents a hard time if you get out here and tell the story. And you have some great opponents. I'm not going to name any names. I don't do that. That's for you to know, as you know, and to ignore.
Yes, sir.
You should never mention their names because you ought to be the one. So people will mention your name. And I don't have a position on who should have that job and don't care. But I would like for one that's concerned about change to do it starting today.
Real change, like I said, I'm with Doc. I don't know. I just became a citizen anyway, but I am ready to vote this. I got my voter registration card yesterday. So I've enjoyed the conversation. Like I said, glad you came. You're the first one to hit me back. Only one, actually. To want to have your voice heard, to want to have your message have your face seen by these people out here, and to be on my show knowing that I cuss out politicians regularly. They know that I'm here not to be buddies with nobody. I'm looking at my city and I'm wondering, what are we doing wrong? I'm looking at this state and saying, why? Why are we last? When the people here, if you're not watching TV, these some good people. These some nice people. We may not have the best vocabulary as it comes to TV, but I know if my car breaks down, somebody pull over to help me. I know if I'm hungry, somebody's trying to feed me. So why don't we have that at the top? Why don't we have people who are, like Doc said, we need our smartest people to start caring about our people. We need our independent, you said that we the independent are the smartest ones. I'm going to agree with you. I told them they independent thinkers. You're looking at both sides of the issue and you're making a decision based on both sides, not on team. That's what we need in court. That's what we need our police officers to do. That's what we need our teachers to do. That's what we need our business. That's what we need to do as a people, really. We need to let these teams go. I think one of y'all prophets said, be not right nor left. I think that's our time, Doc. Your camera decided it didn't want to act right. So we're going to pretend that that's still on.
But I want to make a final conclusion, Dr. Williams, if you don't mind.
Let me give me 1 second here. Let me get you back. You back?
Well, since this attorney.
Give me a second. Excuse me for them technical difficulties. I might edit that.
Yeah, edit that out.
Yeah.
As Attorney Morgan is a change agent.
I believe she is a change agent for us.
I want to personally invite her to my show on WMPR on Thursday from 6 to 7 at
6
a
to
time.
7? I thought she was 5 to 6.
5 to 6, that's my Sunday show.
Oh.
My Thursday show, 5 to 6, at your convenience. And I'm going to give you 30 days to decide. If it's after that, you're not invited. But if you want to come on, you will get an opportunity to come on and talk 15, 30, 45, or 1 hour. You decide. Tell me later, don't tell me now. But you need to be heard all over the district. And WMPR radio station
is everywhere.
Has all the things you need, and that is visibility. It covers your whole area. And if you get the right endorsements, you'll be surprised how Attorney Bridgette Morgan life will change in 30, 60, or 90 days. In your case, in 90 days. Thank you.
Thank you.
He said she's a change agent, ladies and gentlemen. So, hey, are we ending now? Everybody seem like they ready to go? Y'all about ready to go?
Yes,
okay,
sir.
That camera said y'all need to go and cut out.
That's right.
So I'm going to say thank you so much, Attorney Morgan, for coming. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. I did. I thought I was going to be a lot more rougher and tougher. And then Doc broke down on me over here when he up here, the Job Corps. I thought he was going to be, I'm going to have to wrestle him down. He broke and is over here like, she's great. But honestly, I'll say as far as politicians go and judges go, I think you're more of a person than the politician right now. I hope you stay that way. I see that you're doing things that most of them aren't doing. Like I said, first person I heard talk about Job Corps for our children. That's a big deal. I don't know if you know these people, but that is a big deal. We have too many young men and too many young women out here who don't have role models at home. We can't punish them with 5-10 years in jail because they're being led wrong. Now, if my opinion, and I know the judge ain't gonna agree with me, Judge Morgan ain't gonna agree, I put the parents in jail before I put them kids in jail.
But I also add that there are no participants from county court that have been court ordered to Job Corps. I've already talked with the individual. She wants Hinds County people to come. She's reaching out to Pelehatchie. She's reaching out to outside counties. So I wanted to add that because you said I was the first person, and
for me to hear,
and then I've been the only person to talk about this, but also to add to that is there are currently nobody court ordered from this county court to Job Corps, and so she is wanting to. I talked to her. I said if I were to get this seat, I wanted to make sure this works, and so we talked about it and figured out that's why I did the tour to ensure it. So
I got one question. Yeah. I hope it's a no. Are other counties court ordering their children to Job Corps?
Apparently so.
Let me answer that.
And again, here's the thing though. They could be doing in circuit court. Hinds County could be doing in circuit court. I'm not sure, but I know that this seat that I'm running for has not.
Well, I do know it does happen in some states.
Mm-hmm. Some states.
It should happen in Mississippi for sure. Mm-hmm. And the other thing, all the young people that are having situations that are not positive are not in a bad situation, whereas they don't have the right parenting at home.
Not all of them.
They have economic difficulties.
Yeah.
But they're able to finish high school. Then they get in trouble because they can't attend college or go to a university or attend to a community college as a positive student because they don't know what's available there.
I agree. I didn't know Job Corps was available until I was in college already.
Right. But I'm talking about those now that we are dealing with every day. A judge now on the higher level could suggest that a young person with a high school diploma that can't go to college because they don't know about it and don't feel they can be successful, they ought to recommend that they, instead of going to jail, you're going to join the National Guard for 6 months, and you're going to get the training and skills you need. You will be getting paid. You will have counseling, and you have 6 months. And when you come out, you come and see me.
I think that
there are unlimited opportunities out there, but judges have to do it. They have to get paid
I like this.
And then do something.
I think we need to expand this idea past Job Corps. What's the age limit on Job Corps?
24, 18, 24, or 25.
18, 25. What if we had something similar for older people? Because we know there's a gap there from that 25, let's just say 35, that still need training, that still need what Job Corps offers.
Well, I think that there's somebody here who has, I don't know what the name of the training program is, but they offering CDL. It's here right here in Jackson.
Yeah, it's trucking.
Is it trucking? No, it's something else that he has too. I'll look it up, but go ahead.
But I'm like, Job Corps has a couple of things that they teach the students. I know they have like small engine repair or something. Mm-hmm. Like welding.
They also have. She said they would send them. They partner with Ingalls on the coast shipbuilding.
Oh,
they have that as well. Mm-hmm.
So imagine if we were able to have something kind of grow off of a Job Corps mindset that's for us adults.
Well, they can do that. All it takes is someone doing it. They could call it the Service Corps make it from 25 to 55 and get
or 25 and up.
You could do that and then build coalitions with the local, state, federal government and community organizations, including the bankers, and put some local, state, and national funds together. They have the money to do it, and put programs together for those kind of people that just been washed out of the market due to AI, artificial intelligence, automation, and the robots taking over everything. All this can be done in a very short period of time.
I agree, Doc. It was a part of Project HueManity's plan. I think this kind of just, I would tell you, no good things are done in secret. If you're gonna steal it, but make sure it works. Steal the idea. I had already been talking about we need our local professionals, our painters, our mechanics, our persons who do sheetrocking, plumbing, air conditioning. Volunteer one day a month or one day out of the year, one day a month probably, and come to a location. We got all these abandoned buildings around Jackson. Why don't we turn some of them into learning institutes like a CDC and have those professionals come over there and say, like Thursday, like the Beam Path does duct robotics on Thursdays. Like on Thursday, we doing sheetrock.
There you go.
And so you can come over here and you can learn sheetrock and it's free. No matter what age, you come over here and learn how to do sheetrock. It's free every Thursday. And so we're doing sheetrock on Thursday, and then we're doing small engine repairs on Wednesdays, and painting, showing person how to paint, put the tape up here. And this is why you use the tape. This is how you keep the prices up. And, and we can have all these professionals come in, plumbing. This is what we need to do if we go into plumbing, or AC repair guy. And throughout the year, we're training our employees that we need to fit these jobs in the city. We have so many things that need to be repaired that AI cannot touch. We need real human hands. We need motivated individuals, but we don't need $10 an hour jobs. That's what disgusts me, is when we get these contracts and stuff, and I talk to the person who working the contract, you making $10 an hour. No wonder you're doing a bad job. It's because, unfortunately, and this is an unfortunate thing, the boss doesn't understand that my employees work better when they eat better, when they don't have to fight with the wife about the bills, when the kids don't need shoes. See, when I can afford to pay my bills on time, I'm going to show up on time.
Let me tell you the problem, Mr. Williams. The problem is that salary that you mentioned, that $10 an hour, is not that way in the contract. The contract says that this person can pay from $10 to $30 an hour for this job, but the person that's managing the money going to recruit and find the worst person he could find to pay them $10 an hour. Usually he or she's not going to have the skill level.
No.
And he is going to take the $20 and use it for other things in his grant.
So
now this happens. I've dealt with those kind of grants throughout the years.
And that's the thing where we look at our city again, and you ask yourself, are the people in charge passing out the contracts, the people in charge handling the contracts, the people who are working? Well, I know the people working them because they the $10 an hour people. Are we seeing our city better or worse? So if Miss Morgan is an agent of change, you ain't never been in office before, ain't never been elected for nothing?
No.
I say give them a chance. And I've never done it. Because if this is what experienced politicians look like, if this city is what experienced, if this state, if this country, damn it, I'm a truck driver, been around the whole country. If this country is ran by experienced politicians, I hope y'all don't watch a lot of Travel Channel stuff across the world to see what real experienced politicians' work looks like as they develop cities in the desert sometimes. But we spend more money. You can say they got oil money. Well, damn it, we got bond money. So let's vote some of these bond-making, supporting politicians out, the ones who want to fill up our prisons. And let's put some people in place who want to talk peace and Job Corps for our kids. I say there is a choice we can make in November. We can say, let's keep doing the same dance, and I don't want to hit nobody's mouth in December. If we're going to do the same dance, I don't want to hit nobody's mouth in December complaining. I don't want to hear nothing. Shut up and just say, I love tore up streets. I love the police to be underpaid. I love less police on the street. We don't need more. I love how they treating our people. I love this. Because in December, if y'all don't get up and go and say, I think everybody who is in office right now need to be gone. They can be advisors as far as I'm concerned. Because what I heard coming up to this presidential election, that ain't the only election. Like you said, they only want to talk about the presidential election, and these small elections matter too. Because they know if they drag you out there for a president, then you'll go straight down that line for them. Well, I want you to think about something. If they in office right now, look around. Is it better? Vote them out. Pick somebody else. Give somebody else a chance. Miss Morgan said, look, Hinds County, from what she knows, the people, I ain't saying all of them, they don't go to Job Corps. But other counties are sending our kids to Job Corps. Come on, Jackson. Come on, Jackson. We could have had some of these kids out here who we claim don't have any place to go. They could have had a new life in Florida.
Yep.
They could have had a new life in South Carolina. You know how much different it is when somebody gets out there and sees.
And when they relocate you, they house you and they give you a stipend and
tell them
give you
that part.
transportation. So you're not just getting thrown out there and figured out yourself. You will be taken care of if they send you outside of Mississippi.
Yes.
Let me tell you something. It's more comprehensive than that.
Okay.
They will first get you accepted, get you a free ticket to ride on the plane, the bus, or in your personal vehicle to go to the center. Give you new clothing, give you free education, free technical training if you need it, counseling, and once you get into their organization, they have tutoring for you. Then they have these psychiatrists that you can go to. Everyone is assigned to a psychiatrist at least one time to get an evaluation. They have senior citizens and others, college students and so forth, that work with you as advisors, what we call tutors, or just mentors. Then when you get ready to go out into the community, you have free rides to go to the movie, go downtown to the mall.
So they really are taking care of
And
them.
then once you get to the position where you've been there a few weeks, you have monthly meetings where they invite community lawyers, judges, doctors, policymakers, painters.
Don't they
plumbers
pay you too?
to do that?
I was about to say, don't they
I
pay
haven't
you?
gotten to that part. That's the good part. And those professionals coming to you. Then every month you're going to get paid. Some of them pay twice a month, every 2 weeks.
I thought I remember that
And
part.
then on top of that, once you finish your trade, if you get your high school diploma, many of these Job Corps have union scale jobs that are endorsed by the unions. And when you finish that trade,
They go to
in
work.
electrical or whatever, plumbing, you don't make that $10 an hour. You make the current standard fee, $25, $27, $30 an
That's
hour. Then, if you stay in there at least 12 to 18 months or 2 years, it probably done changed now, but when I was in there, you would get $100 a month in an account. So when you finish your 1 year, 18 months or 2 years, you had an advisor to call you in and say, are you going back to Philadelphia? Or are you going back to the Delta in Mississippi? They would say, no, I don't want to do that. They said, well, let me help you. You have $2,400 in your account. We're going to help you buy your used car. We have already found an apartment for you. We have a list of apartments in City X, and we have a special deal with this apartment manager. They're going to let you have a subsidized unit for so much a month for 6 months while you get this new life in a new community, so you won't have to go back to the same community.
Trust me, when I made this a part of my platform, I was very much aware of these alternative solutions, because you got to rehabilitate the people. You can't just punish. And I just took it a step further to learn as much as you just said then when I went and took the tour, to make sure I just wouldn't think of saying something to make it, and what Dr. Henderson works for. So he knows more than I do. I just took a tour.
And let me tell you,
he reminded me of how much they do.
There are 7 other programs out there that I know about, not as comprehensive as the Job Corps, but if you get some of those too, the criminal rate in Hinds County
would go down
until people will be.
Let's talk about this.
And make it safer, and then we get jobs back in here. Walgreens on State Street has left.
And you will see a change in West Jackson and South Jackson.
There you go. For the voters, in this district that I'm running for is for West Jackson and South Jackson voters. However, I will be a Hinds County court judge for the entire Hinds County. So if something were to happen to you in Terry or Byram, you still will come into the courtroom. You just can't participate in the voting of this election. But it matters still who your judge is for Hinds County. But predominantly West and South Jackson are the voters.
But you're going to make the other judges do better.
There you go.
And that is true too. A good judge in the seat makes a bad apple can ruin it, but a shining star can run the darkness off.
Every time.
The light can then run that darkness off. So, me and these words, the power of the word, I'm always like, look, until these lights come on, that darkness is going to be running us. So I'm over here just like, do we need to have a Job Corps, have a job fair? We need to have a Job Corps fair in Jackson. All these children are young men. She was on
Fair Street, the last Fair Street Festival. She may come back this time for tomorrow.
That's tomorrow.
She came for the last Fair Street, for the Juneteenth Festival. She came.
I'm going to get her on
That's
this show.
That's how I met her.
I'm going to get her on this show because...
let me tell you what I used to do.
We need to tell these kids
I would get with the Job Corps people and the community people and have them to sponsor the Job Corps director to have a monthly radio show.
Yeah.
Get on public TV, and the community business people would pay for it. So there's nothing but unlimited ways to change things.
You just got to open your mind to it.
But if we don't talk about it, if we don't say nothing, we don't know. Because right now, I'm over here like, man, going fast. We got so many young kids out here just walking around doing nothing. And I didn't think Job Corps could save these kids' lives.
I'm telling you.
It could change their parents' lives, because I forgot again, until Doc mentioned it, I had some friends who they got the apartment for when they left Job Corps, who subsidized the rent for them until they got on. These young ladies were doing, I'm talking about, I'm coming out of college like, how come I didn't go to Job Corps?
You made a mistake.
Well, right. God's will is being done, but it was what I saw them able to do coming out of Job Corps with training to get a job that paid well.
Now let me add one last thing. Now
some of them were making more than I was.
Yeah, we supposed to have been off this thing 30 minutes ago. But there's one other thing that was so progressive during that period that I talked about during those 6 years. A lot of those Job Corps students would form such tight relationship with their peers. The young man that was in electronics would marry the young lady that was in the LPN program.
There you go.
Yeah.
Then when they get out of there with that job, the Job Corps manager, through their work and their counselors, have already found a job or a school for this young lady with the LPN to go into a nursing program that's subsidized, where she can be an RN. And many times she didn't have to take all the courses. And if she was super smart like sometimes there are certain courses you don't have to attend the class, you just take the test. Of course, if it's a practical course, you have to be there to work with the patients. Nothing but unlimited opportunities. But you have to know it. And then you have to be able to do something about it.
And be willing.
I feel like we fail in our city just by having this conversation. I think we failed our city for a lot of years, because this information right here could have changed so many of our young people's lives. Just flashing these kids got killed in my mind. They walking around with guns on the street. These are the people where I'm like, we need judges to say, instead of letting you out of jail because I don't want to keep you in jail, Job Corps, mandatory. We know what's going to happen to you because you got killed. We've seen it happen. I'm talking about, it's just one little kid in my mind. I would just wish this would have been something he would have took advantage of. Dead, 17 years old. Could have been in Job Corps, could have been in Florida, South Carolina or something. Could have had a change of life, could have inspired the little brother to get off the street, quit doing. And I keep forgetting the parts about they paying y'all. You're not just going to Job Corps and just being there and hanging out and learning like you in school. No, they paying you too. It's almost as if they know you need something more than just a bed. That camera's gonna make us quit, ain't it? You need something more than a bed, and me saying, here's some food and water and read this book. They saying, here's some money, here's some job training, here's some endless possibilities for your future. And so I thank Attorney Morgan for bringing that back to my attention, and Dr. Henderson. If I'm gonna try to clip all that stuff you said about Job Corps, so we can get these kids out here, get these judges out here to hear this.
That's right. Now let me add something else that's more significant than anything we have said. I told you many of the centers would have mentors, and some of those mentors would invite the young people to their home. They will pick them up on Friday evening and bring them back Sunday night. They will take them to family reunions, take them to church.
Kind of like taking them to the water park.
Take them to church, sit down and show them how a real family is supposed to coordinate themselves.
I'm telling you.
And that will change their lives. I've seen it happen.
I know it happens. And that's why I'm just sitting here and I'm sorry, America, world, that I forgot these things exist. These things are important, and we need to talk about them more.
Got to.
If we don't talk about them, they don't exist.
Got to.
It's like they don't exist in our communities. So how can we have 18,000 people at a Job Corps facility Dr. Henderson worked with, and we don't know nothing about it? I don't know one person in Job Corps right now.
With a lot of satellites.
Yeah, I don't know one person.
Let me tell you, all one would have to do, Judge, I just tell you how to do things. All you would have to do is get with other judges, police, chiefs, community organization leaders.
Get with the lawyers,
neighborhood presidents, and call Congressman Thompson and say, Congressman, we need a Job Corps center in my hometown in the Delta. And if you put the proper proposals together, he will help you do it. But now if you just tell him to do it, he will not be able to do that by himself on his own time, because politicians have to have innovative ideas, support systems, where people will do the paperwork that's necessary, and all they're going to do is sign the cover letter after you've done all the work and take that proposal to their friends in the Senate, in the House, and things can happen. And they will have a Job Corps center in the Delta before you get ready to run for re-election. Don't tell me it can't be done.
All right, then
it can be done.
He really messing with me right now because I'm trying to vote everybody out. Then you're gonna mention somebody that's in office for us to talk to. So I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna mean this too. I do want to vote everybody out. That is not a lie. I want some change around here. But if you happen to make it, then I'm still gonna work with you. I'm like, you still here. So guess what? Let's take those plans we have. Let's go to Councilman Thomas, Congressman Thomas.
Yeah.
Let's see if what you're saying is true, and we can push these things forward. If we still have the same people in office, let's talk about it. Like I said, Randy and Miss Wild got those kids that air conditioning and that water fixed.
Now,
You know
I hate
what I'm
to
saying?
do this again, but I want to add something else. See, that's the function of elected officials. We would get with the representatives, get with the senators in those states. They want to meet with you, man. And you give them a proposal, and they will give you so many recommendations that you didn't even think about. And when you know anything, they're going to add some components that is going to even make your proposal better, and then tell you who to go to specifically to share this with. And they say, we will give you a letter of support for this. Now you get the senators, the members in the House, some famous state judges, the police chiefs, and all of those people. You give you a letter of support, they can't vote you down.
Well, like I said, I'm not going to change what I said. I'm still trying to replace everybody. I want new people in, new ideas, and a new future. But if you make it past November, I'm not going to just hate you. We got to work with you. I don't hate you now. I hate what I'm seeing. That's what it is. I'm hating what I'm seeing. So it's not you. I'm hating what I'm seeing. I'm hating grown people tell me they can't work together to get things done for these kids. I'm hating grown people tell me they can't work together so that we can bring jobs to this city. I hate that these grown people can't work together and figure out where in the hell is all our money that they claim they keep giving the city of Jackson, but nothing's getting done. So I hate what I'm seeing. Now, if you make it past November, I'm willing to work with you. I'm gonna be just like this. Hey, how you doing? Here's some plans, here's some proposals, and let's keep it going. Because these kids do not need to see us fighting. They need to hear change is coming, whether it's red, blue, purple, pink, green. They need to know that their future is not going to be $400,000 houses with a $10 an hour salary. Does that make sense?
That's going to happen.
All right, so if we got these ideas, Attorney Morgan, we're going to stop it so we don't keep going this third stop. Because I am extremely happy about you coming in. I think we can put some ideas together to work on some stuff. Because if your passion is about driving these kids into a different area than jail, I'm definitely on your side with that. The Job Corps thing, Doc, we need to work together and figure out something for Jackson, whether we're in the position of just regular podcaster, judge, or CEO of Helping Save Jackson. Because you really the CEO of Helping Save Jackson. I think you don't know how much you do, Doc.
But I tell you now, a lot of these politicians know everything we're talking about right now. They know it.
Well,
they won't do anything about it, but we don't demand that they do anything.
Well,
they know about all the opportunities out there.
And I think this is what we said. Randy and Ms. Wow, one day later, superintendent's over there fixing the water, putting the air conditioners over there, because we on that radio station, we talking about it. When I came in here and took what Ms. Wow told me about the $40 on your water bill, put the clip out there. I saw it on the news a couple of weeks ago. Then now everybody talking about it. So it's our silence is what's killing us.
Yes.
Our silence is what's killing these kids. Our silence is why our city looks like this. Tell on your friend. I know he went to school with you and he lived in the neighborhood you did. I know she's from the Delta. Guess what? That's still Mississippi. That's still Mississippi. You don't have to be from Jackson to change Jackson. You don't have to be from the district to change the district. You have to care about people, period, to change how these people are being treated.
Exactly.
So if y'all think that the people who live in your neighborhood, look what they've been doing. The people from your city, look what they've been doing. If you don't think somebody else needs a chance, an opportunity to get, how often do y'all get voted on?
4 years.
Every 4 years. You can fire her in 4 years. If she sent too many of y'all kids to Job Corps and turn them into better people, and they have lives and wives and husbands, and they not getting shot in the street, and you don't like that, you want to bring them back, you want them kids here getting shot at on the news every night, shootouts, killing people at the Dagger. If you want to keep it like that, don't do anything different in November. Actually, don't even vote. If you happy with this, just stay at home. But if you want to see some change, pick a different name than the ones you know. And like I said, I'm not changing that. I hadn't met anybody that I'm ready to vote for again. Nobody. Not again. Just, can all y'all go home and be advisors to the people who are here? If there's something they can call you on, because you love the city, right? You love the state, right? So we should be able to call on y'all. But for right now, we need change. These children need change. These ideas that we're not hearing from our elected people, well, let's put the people who are in here who's saying this stuff in these chairs, in these offices, in these decisions. So at least we can run out of their ideas. Let's run out of y'all new ideas before we put some old people back in. How about that? Let's get some new ideas and run out of that. That's me closing. I know it's long, but y'all got anything y'all want to leave the people with, Miss Attorney Morgan?
For Attorney Bridgette Morgan for Hinds County Court Judge, Subdistrict 2.
Yeah, how they find you? They need to
Find
get in touch with you.
Find me at electmorganforjudge@gmail.com. I am on Instagram at electmorganforjudge, Facebook, Elect Bridgette M. Morgan, and TikTok, Elect Morgan for Judge.
Are you still attorney and also?
Still an attorney. I am the attorney for the Jackson Police Department.
Okay, so they can't call you and need some legal work. You got a job.
I'm still an attorney. 769-218-8677.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
I can work on the side.
Give them that number again. That's what I'm asking.
769-218-8677 is what I do. It's my side. If you want to contact us. I do want to just add, I didn't tell before, we talked about so much other things, but one of my, as a police attorney, I've written the body camera policy for the city of Jackson. So Jackson Police Department has body cameras because of the policy that I wrote. It was reviewed and approved by the Department of Justice. Once they said okay on it, they funded that project. So that's why we have body cameras. It's 2019. Got the real-time crime center, got the cameras on the poles, all of that. I was the police attorney at that time.
I need some cameras over on my street. Can you send a couple of them over there? But I'm really happy with what's going on in Jackson right now. I'm hearing less gunshots. So whatever you're doing with the police, helping them out, because I'm not one of those people who talking about defunding police. I am not. I am trying to make sure they get the right pay, get the raise, get the training, and stop them from being our damn mental health professionals on the street. We need a team for that. But we'll talk to y'all about that. Doc,
yes.
you guys, I know you got something you want to let them know. You know I'm going to put your stuff up at the end, but tell the people how to find you, Doc.
Well, it's very simple. All they have to do is call 601-201-1957 and ask for PCAP Media. Or they can find us on YouTube, Facebook, and just type in the name Eldridge Henderson.
It's only one.
And I guarantee you all kind of stuff will pop up. And then they can call me, and we can solve their problems in 30, 60, or 90 days if they want to change. But if they don't want to change, they can just stay where they are. Don't call and waste our time, and just pray for good things to happen to
you. Well, prayer without works.
That's right.
We going to put the work in, Doc. We're going to keep praying. We're going to keep praying.
But you must work,
But we're going to do the work, too.
You must work.
That's what we're going to do. And, hey, we want to thank you all for joining us again. This has been a long show. We're going to break this one up, I'm sure. But I don't know how I'm going to do it, get it out today, but it's going to happen. Thank you again for joining us on The Perspective. This is your host, Curtis Williams, and my two wonderful guests today, Dr. Henderson and Attorney. I keep wanting to say Judge Morgan, Judge Bridgette Morgan, because you want to speak stuff into power and into the light. Hey, I'm like this. Thank you again for calling me. We share a similar goal for these kids and trying to redirect their life. Doc is my mentor, and I'm like, for him to come in today, I think that made the show that much better.
Yeah,
because you messed me up with that Job Corps, Doc. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that.
I appreciate it.
We've been working together for, I don't know, a year. But again, that's the show, people. We thank you for joining, and look for those clips.
Okay.
We out.
Edit them real good, sir. And do those good shorts, man. And thousands of people will be surprised to know that certain things can happen.
Yeah, because